Yo, what up, world? It's your man Cross, X to the R to the O to the double S, also known as Mr. Dean, and you're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio on XM Radio channel 140. Hey, you can check us out every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we get it in. We give a voice to young black males across America. And I got a guest here today, man. His name is Yanni Davis from the Twin Cities, man. Say what's up to the people.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing, man?
And I also got my co-host Celena, Lena, in the house.
What's up, y'all?
So listen, we're going to jump right in. We got a good conversation that we're going to talk about today that is kind of prevalent all across the United States, and we've been dealing with it for a long time, and it's gun violence. More specifically, gun violence in the urban community. And here in the Twin Cities, we're doing a lot on the streets to combat that. As a matter of fact, the Man Up Club is certainly doing what they can, but it's a multiplicity of things that need to be done in order to curb that. But we'll talk about that and get into that in the interview. But for right now, I want my man Yanni to tell us a little bit about yourself, man, and just kind of your background and how you grew up.
Man, how y'all doing, man? It's good to be here. Appreciate y'all for letting me come through. My name is Yanni Davis, here from the Twin Cities. Nothing crazy about me, man. I'm just a normal young kid, just trying to stay hungry. I'm a musician, producer, artist, author, entrepreneur. Have my own production company called Just Dream Production, where we specialize in bringing music to life, bringing life to music. Music is our magic, is one of our sayings. Not too much. I'm 28. I'm not even 30 yet, so I don't.
You say you're an author too?
Artist.
Oh, okay.
Artist.
I
ain't
thought you
wrote
had
nothing
author
yet.
in it.
I mean, I can text real fast, but that's about it.
Okay, that's dope. Just Dream Productions is your organization?
Yep.
Cool.
So let me jump in on that because you mentioned a lot of things in regards to what you do and what is it that prompted you to be an entrepreneur and have your hands in so many things as opposed to just focusing on I want to be this one thing.
It's I'm first of all, I'm just inquisitive. Like I get curious about a lot of things, and one thing I truly believe I was gifted with is I learn really quickly. I'm actually just a visual learner, so I can see something pretty much for the first time, and I can do it. And I never chose to limit myself to one thing. Even like right now, YouTube University is the way to go.
Okay.
I'd learn how to fix cars just off of YouTube or and stuff like that. So I just try to be a jack of all trades, master of all.
Okay, because they say a jack of all trades, a
Master
master
of
of none.
none. Right, they say. So you don't believe in
like how
that? You
you
don't
flip
subscribe
that.
to that?
I'm a rapper too. Just playing.
I like how you flip that. Yeah. So all right. So from the time that you was a kid, how did you grow up?
I grew up, single parent household with my two siblings. I have an older brother and a younger sister. We grew up, just with our mom. I wouldn't call it. People say, sometimes people use that and they automatically tie it to a struggle. I didn't grow up in a struggle. We always had a house. We always had clothes. We always ate. We never left the house bummy or crunchy or nothing crazy like that. Mom, single parents house, she still wasn't, a millionaire or she did everything by herself. So, even though it was a single parents household, I was truly blessed at the end of the day. And I kind of used that as I moved through life when people, talk about their situations. And my thing is somebody always has it worse. There's somebody who had a single parent household who probably was leaving the house with the same clothes on every single day or didn't, real struggles, you know what I mean? So, I grew up pretty good, public schools, charter schools. So I got to experience both. Pops wasn't around. I mean, he was around, just not around wherever he was around. So, my older brother kind of was my my father figure in that sense. So yeah, everything was cool.
Interesting. So I'm gonna piggyback off of a few things you said. First of all, when you start to tell us, you said, I come from a single parent home, and initially I was going to ask, who was the missing parent. Um, because the thing is, we always assume that the missing parent is the dad
Mhm.
in urban culture. That's first and foremost.
Mhm.
Um, but there are some dads out there who are taking care of the kids. As a matter of fact, I was one of those dads who was a single dad, and so that's why I was going to ask that question, because I know a lot of people just automatically assume when you say I come from a single parent home, they say, hey, the mom's taking care of me. And of course, mothers are doing their job, and they predominantly are
Right.
the parent in the home. But it should never get to a place, and we should never get to a place in society where we just automatically assume that the dad is always absent. Now, having said that, 80% of the boys in the Man Up Club don't have fathers in the home. And then the other thing you said was, your situation and circumstance wasn't your typical cookie cutter um, situation of not having your dad in the home. You were saying that, hey, basically your mom held it down to the point where you didn't have to have what you refer to as a struggle.
Mhm.
And I understand what you mean when you say struggle. Um, but I would challenge you to a couple degrees in regards to that, because one of the things that I've always said in regards to the Man Up Club and the Man Up Club show, and then just people in general in the urban context, is that unfortunately we've normalized in the urban culture not having a father to think in the home, to think that that's normal, and that's so unfortunate, because that's something that should never be normalized. Um, because the value of a father is a tremendous value. Now,
Mhm.
you went on to say that your brother was there. And it's interesting because you said you didn't have no struggles. Um, but to say that your brother was there and he kind of stepped in for your father who was around but wasn't around in your terms, um, that signifies the value that a father has, because somebody has to fill that void,
Mhm.
and your brother filled it.
Mhm.
Um, and obviously he done a good job because you turned out well, and then like you said, you didn't have struggles or what have you. And that's what we need in the place of fathers when they're not there. We need other men to step up, what be it that a older brother, uncle, um, or just mentor. But I want to stick a pin in that because I think it's important to understand, those dynamics. Even though we have these people who can step in, they still don't replace
Correct.
um, the value or the significance of a father who can contribute to a kid's healthy life.
Correct.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So when your brother was stepping in for you, man, for your father, and then your father was around, but he wasn't around. How did you process your dad being around and but not being around, and then you knowing that your brother is filling a role when he truly is your brother, but he has to step in as your father figure?
It was so at the time, I was young. Um, I was about 9 when my dad like officially like left. Like I was 8 or 9 when he like officially left.
And I think that's a tough age. But go ahead.
Yeah, and at first I was like, oh man, like that sucks, but kind of in the same breath, when it came to them things like basketball games or football games, birthdays. I mean, he wasn't there for real, so it kind of wasn't too much of a shell shock. My brother stepping in was just kind of like that extra help that my mom need. Like, hey, I gotta work late. Can you take him to football practice? Or I'm gonna be late getting off work. Can you take him to his game? And stuff like that. So, and we were the only two boys. Then my mom had my little sister. So it was kind of like relatable as well. Like, cause his dad actually still lived in Indiana. So, um, I mean, he's still cool and tight with his dad. So I can tell it possibly could have been some kind of, understanding with him and me when it came to that. But unfortunately, I lost my brother when I was 10 years old.
The one
And
who helped raise you.
yeah,
Okay.
so
What was y'all age gap?
we were 8 years apart, 8 years and 4 days.
Which is tough.
Yeah,
Still, which is tough because
yeah.
you gotta your dad, you losing your dad, he's stepping out of your life at that particular time,
Hmm.
and then you got a brother who he got murdered.
Yeah, he was murdered.
Okay, so that's a lot of trauma
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
Like that's quite a bit. Let me ask you this before we tap into that, because we'll tap into
yeah.
what that was like for you growing up as a 9, 10 year old and losing your brother. Devastating. And the thing I was going to say before that is, you kind of I kind of watch your demeanor and you make a little light of the fact that your father wasn't there. Um, and that's an interesting dynamic to me because kids are resilient.
Hmm.
That's one of the things about kids. Kids are just they take the punches
Yep.
and the bruises and then
Keep
they
rolling.
keep on
Yep.
rolling. You know what I'm saying? So that I've always been impressed with kids who have the ability to do that. But your brother, when he was alive and he was around and he was taking care of you, um, did he ever show any signs or express any pressure or struggle from himself to have to step in and fulfill that role as a father figure to you?
Nothing that was evident enough for me to understand or notice, I
Mm.
would say. Um, I mean, I think we can all kind of understand that, when you are the oldest, especially with that age gap, and moms don't have another kid till you 8 years old, um, you know, you help. I'm not, you don't take the responsibility, but sometimes you may help. So if he did feel some kind of way about it, I would have never known.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what's up.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked that question is because that's a lot of responsibility for if you're 9 or 10. He's what, 16 or
Mm-hmm.
17,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And at that age, man, you don't want no responsibility of taking
I'm in
care.
high school. Gee, I'm
Most
trying to
people, yeah,
see. I'm
exactly,
outside. You know.
right, exactly. And so,
Yeah.
like for me, I come up under similar circumstances where I come from a single parent home because I never met my dad.
Mhm.
Um, but my brother was not about to take care of me. And my brother is 6 years older than well, I have several brothers, but the one who was in the house with me
Yeah.
was 6 years older than me.
Right.
But there was no way that he was gonna give up his teenage years in high
Oh,
school
man.
and whatever else he was gonna do to be like, yo, I gotta stay
Yeah.
home
No.
and take care of my little brother, get him to his games and this,
Uh-uh.
that, and the other. So your brother was a real blessing to you.
No, he was a super blessing, and like I said, I didn't. If he did feel that way, I would have never known, and it just seemed natural, and it's also a blessing. I kind of grew up with this. My sister has this really, really, really good, but I know I have it too. Is just these automatic like survival
Mm,
mindset.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, he not at the crib, but I may be 8, 9 years old. I I remember everybody number by heart. I can cook. I know how to clean. I can get to wherever I need to go by myself. I know how to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so we ain't have cell phones,
Right. I
so
feel you.
you had to figure it out.
Well, I forget that when you said you memorized everybody's number.
Yeah, I mean, you figured out my number.
Who can do that now?
From Gary, Indiana.
Oh,
So
you
I
from
was
Gary?
yeah,
Oh, well,
so I was
that there it is, right
so
there.
born in Gary, moved here when I was like 2.5, 3 years old. Well, we went back so much though. Like I said, I can tell you how to get there at 6 years old.
Here's the thing about Gary that I never quite understood. I still can't get my head around it. Um, I talk to so many people, and I think about 40% of the people that I talk to, especially from the urban community in the Twin Cities,
Mm-hmm.
they say they come from Gary. Now my thing is Gary is only big as my thumb, bruh. It's right in the heart of so this is dead set in the middle of Chicago and South Bend, Indiana, like
Yep.
our
40
but
Gary, 40 Chicago,
you feel
20, 20
right.
Minneapolis.
But it's so small, man. I just don't know how so many people come from Gary and Gary's only this big,
Oh,
man.
man.
It's your man, Mr. Dean. We're gonna come right back, man. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio, and I'm in the studio with my girl Celena Lena and my boy Yanni Davis. Yanni,
Sir.
you're talking about growing up as a kid, man, and you know, 9, 10 years old, your brother gets murdered. Unpack that for us as a 9, 10 year old.
Um, yeah, certain things you don't. I mean, when you're 9 or 10, there's a lot of stuff you don't remember. You probably remember some friends from school. maybe you went to Disney World or something like that. That experience at 10, I to this day I can tell you the story from point A to point B from the time um this lady that was staying with us until the time she ran in and threw her kid in my bunk bed and stormed out the house with my mom to be waking back up in the middle of the night with probably 20, 25 people in my living room crying.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
You know, yeah, my brother, he was dating this girl, and she had she had a kid with another guy, whatever. Guy didn't want to let her go, got upset, murdered them both. So, um, as clear as day as it is, at 10, you're sad. Like how else do you like describe your feelings at that age? You're just sad. Okay, you're sad. That's a given. None of this actually hit me until I was about actually till I was 17. I was 17 and I kind of walked every day in fear till the day I turned 18 because I was so nervous that history would repeat itself with me.
Mm.
And finally turned 18 because we were 4 days apart. So I turned 18. I was like, okay, cool. Finally made it. Sure. Then it also didn't start really hitting to me till I had my first child.
Which was how
I
old were you?
was 22
Okay.
when I had my daughter. And it kind of just I kind of like had a flashback of just everything that I had been through life-wise, accomplishments, achievements from the age of 10 to 22 of having her. And her birthday's the day after his.
What?
Mm.
Wow.
So, and it was crazy because, I actually, for my 22nd birthday, I specifically went out of town for my birthday because there was a lot going on. Was having troubles with the mother of that child to where I didn't even see my child till she was 9 months old. And I'm just like, whatever. So I ended up coming back. I went to Vegas. So I was in Vegas for like 5 days. Don't recommend. Came back from Vegas.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
The day I'm coming back from Vegas, I'm in the airport, and it was on July 17th. I'm July 12th. My brother July 16th. Came back July 17th. I was having an eerie feeling in the airport. I really didn't know why. Like I was so uneasy the entire day. I'm like, how? It's Vegas. It's 110 degrees. It's summertime. Having fun, whatever. I found out a week later, a little over a week afterwards, that my child had been born. Nobody contacted me. Nobody told me nothing. It was that was a specific day that I was feeling funny. So, kind of that area is when I got this like, just really started being really hurt. Like, you took so much that the only person that was there at that young age how he's missed so many things. He missed all the birthdays, all the accomplishments. I was on the Billboards, charted top 10 in the Billboards, my first live recording I produced.
Wow.
At the time. So all these things I just kept, wrapping around, and it's just one of those things, like, because people, I remember, I'll tell this a quick story. I remember, I think it was the day it happened, the day my brother was murdered. I had went to school anyway.
Mm.
Why? Don't know. Went to school. And I'm thinking it's a normal day in school. I had like 5 teachers rush me, and I'm like, what's going on? I didn't watch the news at that age. They didn't watch the news. So they had, class make like little sympathy cards and whatever. And so I opened it up when I got home, and one of the cards from my classmates said, "It's cool, just get over it."
What the heck?
It was 9 years old.
So
10 years
I
old.
was like, so it kind of translated throughout the years where we always hear people saying, "It'll be okay, it'll be okay, it'll be okay," and then it's just one of the things it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get over it. You just learn to live with it. And we've all learned to live with something that isn't fun to live with. You know what I mean? So it still gets me from time to time to this day. But
I just want to say I appreciate you for just saying that it's not okay and debunking like that whole recommendation of advice that people give people when they go through something or lose somebody. And because while we're on the subject, it's crazy because like today is my grandmother's death anniversary.
wow.
And she's my best friend, raising me and everything. And like you said, sometimes it hits me more than like other years, but she passed away 2021. And it's so true that when you lose somebody that you love very dearly, you really just have to learn to live with the pain. So I totally understand where you're coming from. And for everyone out there who's grieving someone, like, it's like we feel you.
Truly, my condolences as well.
It's interesting, and I'm gonna piggyback off of that because the death of a loved one can be really tragic. It cause a lot of trauma. And so for me, bro, similar to you, I lost my older brother. But the thing was, it was such a dark time and tragedy to me. To be real, I just don't even remember the year. Me and Celena was talking about this the other day. I don't remember the year that he died. And the reason I don't remember the year is because it was just so dark and traumatizing.
Right.
And I just couldn't imagine it or believe it. And so it's almost like sometimes things can be so dark that you just kind of try to block it out your mind as if it was a point in time or that particular incident did not exist. You feel me? And then other people memorialize it, kind of like Celena and her grandmother, you feel me, to be able to pay homage to it.
Right.
But I want to piggyback off of something that you said as far as it hurting and what have you. So when I teach the young men in the Man Up Club, like I said, 80% of them don't have fathers in the home. But then outside of that, these young, and we mentor guys between the ages of 13 and 24. But the trauma and tragedies that they've been through is amazing. To be able to talk to these young men and look at the level of death. And I'm not just talking about, when I talk about death, I'm not talking about like a grandmother peacefully laying in her bed or grandfather laying in their bed and with their kids around and then they transitioning on. I'm talking about straight murder, similar to
Yellow tape.
you feel me?
Yeah.
That whole thing. But the issue that I have, and something that I've been constantly and consistently working on and will continue to do, is to get them to feel. Because and I don't want to make this a color thing, but I'm gonna just tell you what I know about young black men because I've mentored them for years. A lot of them don't grieve. We even had to design special programs like Permission to Grieve with Vanessa Jenkins to get these guys to come in and walk them through a grief process. And the first time they ever cried over a situation where they experienced death or tragedy or faced trauma, they broke down. But they thought that something was wrong with them breaking down, as if they was a punk or if they were, had this masculine mentality. And I even hesitate to say that because a true masculine mentality, you still feel, you still have emotions and you still cry. But they have this thought process that true masculinity is when you don't allow yourself to feel. And what I pointed out to them was, I'm like, hey, man, you better hurry up and try to feel. I got to teach you how to feel. Because if you don't feel, you become numb. And when you become numb, you're capable of anything, especially if somebody else triggers you in a place that you don't even know you're sensitive in.
Right. And then it perpetuates the cycle.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so we have young men who are in our organization, who we have to work with to cry. We have to work with them to speak up and to speak about their situation, the circumstances that they went through, because once they went through it, they never revisited it.
Right.
You feel me? And that was kind of like me. I didn't want to revisit the situation with my brother, so that's how I blocked it out. But I did grieve.
Right.
You feel me? And so that's how a lot of times we have a lot of murders happening in the black community with each other. It's because we haven't dealt with what's going on. There's been countless times in which I've mentored and guided young men who were even gangsters. And in a gang and whatever, somebody got killed and they click and they wanted to retaliate. And we did our best. Me and is JC your cousin or uncle?
He's like an uncle to me.
Yeah, okay. Shout out to JC Dampier. That's my guy. He came in and helped me with the Man Up Club and helped me build it in North Minneapolis. But yeah, we would work on these dudes, man, just to get them not to go back and retaliate and kill the other person or somebody in their family because of the trauma and the hurt that they was feeling that they never dealt with.
And that's something I actually have to deal with myself. Grief, first of all, grief has no recipe. There's no book, in my opinion, that can make you just okay. You know what I mean? And it got to the point where myself, I was still dealing with it, and because my brother from Gary, as we always, so my brother, he's buried in Gary, and it got to a point where I may have been like 14 or 15 that I had went back and seen him for the first time since he had, passed. And I think I was like 16 or 16, I think, where I played my first professional funeral, and it was of a 5-year-old boy who was also murdered. And that was traumatic for me because I'm like, that sucks. That's crazy, whatever the case it is. But long story short, as a musician, I'm playing funerals back to back. I mean, maybe hundreds, at a time, a year. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I had went online and seen that 2 of the associates who helped murder my brother were soon to get out within like a year or so, year and a half.
Let's pause right there. We're going to bring that back because I really want you to talk about that.
For sure.
We're back on the Men Up Club Presents podcast. We're talking to Yanni. And Yanni, you had said that you're playing these funerals. It had came up to where 2 associates from your brother's murder had just, you got word that they were about to get out.
Yeah. I took it upon myself just to go look. Why? Don't know. But I did. And I had noticed that they were getting out in about a year and a half or so. And there was a different kind of rage that came out of me, as if someone who would want to retaliate. Again, how do you live with that? How do you live with, yeah, you drove the car. Maybe you didn't pull nothing, but you drove the car. Now you get to, again, go drive another car. How do you live with that? There's another part of grief where, I believe there's a plethora, I'm not going to say stages, but elements to grief where you have anger, you have confusion, you have hurt, you have misunderstanding, all of these things that add up. At this time, I'm mad. I feel like I want to retaliate. How do I get myself out of that? And understanding kind of what you were speaking about the kids, or the young men, I should say, from Man Up Club, where they feel like they want to retaliate. Now, mind you, I'm also in these funerals of, the deceased who have lost their life to gun violence, with people who want to retaliate with that. I mean, I remember one funeral I played, soon as they took the casket out to the hearse, they started airing out at the...
Exactly.
Yeah,
funerals ain't what they used to be no more.
Like, dang.
Wait, can you clarify? I think you're talking about shooting, but...
Yes, they were shooting.
Okay.
At the funeral.
My bad.
Wow.
And that's why I say funerals ain't like they used to be.
Man.
You used to think that regardless of how a person died, that a funeral was a safe
was
place and a
peaceful,
respectable place where you could just like bury a person in peace. But sometimes they turned into
So I
battlegrounds.
had to peel back on what funerals I would do. Even if it was people that I was super close with.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I felt the same way, because at that time I was hot and heavy into Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
And the demographic of people, because these deaths were so young, that is crazy, man, because that's a time in which you get a lot of young people in church. Unfortunately.
One of the only times.
Yeah, and they got the church packed out wall to wall, and then pastors are scrambling like, how do we connect with these young people through these tragic situations? And they would call on me to rap, because they know I did gospel rap.
Yeah.
But even being a gospel rapper, a Christian rapper, there was still pressure to perform, for lack of a better term, but even minister the gospel through hip hop music,
right,
to that audience, because they struggling, man.
And
but I feel you. But go ahead.
One of it's like in through one ear and out the other. With a lot of it too, it's just I'm. It sounds mad, but I'm just here so they know I was here.
Exactly.
And that's another part of grief where. This is great. Thank you for showing up when it's time to bury somebody. you'll never hear from them people ever
Never
again.
again. Yeah.
Right.
So again, living with it, the same people who showed all this, this love and everything that, whatever you need, just call me, let me know. That's so cliche.
Right.
Call me if you need me.
Right.
Never to be found ever again. And that's also just a part of life too. People come and they go. They come for, the glory or the fame or
The moment.
the moments.
Mhm.
And now when that moment is over, that person finna go right to work on Monday and continue their regularly scheduled program.
Mm-hmm.
What are you to do? Because
Mhm.
this happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you grieve?
Mm.
How do you live with it? Because we can never get over it. How do you live with it?
I was actually going to ask you, so how did you not retaliate? Or did you? Like, was there a moment where, you was going to do something, but you literally had to stop in your tracks? Or how did you deal with that?
If I can give you just the most straight answer,
Love transparency.
grace of God. If I ain't know who he is, who he was, I couldn't tell you. It's cliche. I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for the Lord on my side.
That's real.
But nothing's cliche when it's the word of God,
No,
in
I
my
feel that.
opinion.
Feel that.
So,
Mm.
when there's nothing else to say, that's all I can say.
Yeah,
Mm.
so you lost a lot, man, because this is a father figure to you. He's your older brother. You lost him at a very tough age. You was 10 years old, and now he's gone, and you getting letters from kids in school. That's cool. We go ahead and get over that. Not to make light of that, but I just am fascinated by the minds of kids.
Yeah.
But as you grew up, how did his death affect you?
My adult years, well, a little bit before my adult years, I would say. I think my junior and for sure senior year of high school. Um, it just made me, it hurt me even more because the little things like showing up to my games, which my father didn't do,
Mhm.
or, prom. I had a completely other man tie my tie for me at prom. Bless his heart. Appreciate him. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna stick a pin in that real fast and let you go on. But that's one of the things that we do at the Man Up Club is we teach young men how to tie ties,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's significant.
Yeah.
And I stopped you there because you brought that up, but I just want people to know like that's extremely important. In addition to that, we have a suit up program where we give young men free suits. We take in donations, but we give young men free suits because
that's dope.
I believe that every young man should have a suit.
At least a black suit.
You feel me? But the reason I point that out is because I need people who are listening to understand
The
how
significance.
significant of a
Right.
moment
Little things.
that was. Exactly. You can continue, but I just wanted to point that out.
No, for sure. And it's, like I said, it's little things like, just little bow tie, hook me up, make sure I'm straight. And so it was like moments like that or graduation my dad didn't show up to. I know for a fact my brother would be there. We graduated from the same high school, all three of me and my two siblings, all three of us. And it was such a, I felt like I did this specific thing out of, love and just trying to represent my brother. But now looking at it, I was sad. And the thing that I did was I literally dressed up in the exact same outfit that my brother
Wow.
did when he graduated.
That's
Mhm.
dope.
I had a
That
plaid
is.
shirt on, some blue jeans, and some fresh white ones. Fresh, them
Clean.
G-Fazos. Well, I put
Yeah.
them down on. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm gonna do it, because he did it. My mom, she's put on the suit. I'm gonna do what he did. And I just thought it was like, he did it. I'll be like my brother. And looking back on it, I was sad.
Mm-hmm.
That at that moment, I wasn't hurt. I was just sad. Like, dang, yeah, I watched you do this exact same thing years ago. Now I'm doing it, and you can't watch me do it.
Mm-hmm.
At least I can't see you watching me do it. So, little things like that I struggle with growing up, dealing with him not being here, and then like I said, the other things that I've accomplished in my life, and you know, my kids, I just got to tell them they had an uncle. You know, they don't know him from a can of paint. You just, you know, um, stories won't, you know, stories that sound good can't be relatable or you know, we don't understand. So, um, it's definitely a journey, and like you said, it's them little things that pass by that you don't recognize or understand until, you know, you in the room by yourself, or you watching a show or something that, you know, reminds you of, you know, your experiences. And so it's no fun, but it has curated me to the man I am today.
I like that part. So, as the man that you are today, if you could tell your brother something about where you at as the man you are today, what exactly would you say to him?
Thank you is easy to say. He don't have to worry would be the thing that I would tell him. Because I was blessed enough to, you know, watch him and understand how things should go, how he would carry it. And so I carry it. So there's nothing to worry about. Because I know I know he's still watching, you know, spiritually, and he does guide me through things, or you know, I do feel his presence. So I'm not really concerned about him watching over me. That's a given.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I'm feeling down, or you know, stuff like this can cause suicidal thoughts or
Absolutely.
hurt and everything. You don't gotta worry. You don't gotta worry. I'll be cool.
That's powerful, man, because telling a father or a father figure or a mentor or a person who's guiding you, if everything was just compounded into that to one phrase that you could tell them, to tell them that you don't have to worry about me is the greatest thing
Mm-hmm.
that you could tell somebody.
Right.
Because that, to me, that's similar and equates to the same words that we kind of want Jesus to say to us.
Well done.
Well done, thy good and faithful servant. And in a sense, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well done, thy good and faithful servant, because of what you did and the way in which you served. You now no longer have to worry
Mhm.
about me, because the little time that you was here, I caught it, and now I got it,
Yeah.
and we good.
Yeah.
It's your man, Mr. Dean. You listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Yo, it's your man, Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Tap in with us every week on Thursdays on station 140, man, at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. If you want to support the Man Up Club, please feel free to do so at themanupclub.org. Once again, that's themanupclub.org. We based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the home of George Floyd. We're doing everything that we can do to give a voice to young black males, man, and we mentor them between the ages of 13 and 24, have several programs. We're open every day after school from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have several programs in the Man Up Club. We have a music production program where young men can come in and learn how to engineer, learn how to produce music, learn the music business. We have an annual festival that we do that's coming up this summer on August the 9th, which is God Flow Hip Hop and Hope Fest. And got some special guests coming for you this year, but we'll announce that later. We also have a culinary cooking program, culinary arts, fitness program, as well as a paid construction program, suit up program. I can go on and on, ping pong, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever a young man would need to keep him off the streets. And then more importantly, we got great mentors that will mentor these young men. And I'm excited about that. Also a tutoring program, but I'm going to just stop. You get the picture. We got everything that we need to help these young men. Our mission is to develop young boys into holistic young men of character. And I'm sitting here with a young man of character, Yanni Davis, and we're gonna jump back into it, man. Yeah, you really hit home, man, when you said that if you could say one thing to your brother who raised you, that he don't have to worry about you. I think that's what epitomizes great mentorship is when you can have a young man that you've taken care of or guided or mentored or raised, and then they get to a point where they can turn around and tell you, hey, you ain't got to worry about me no more. I'm good.
Sure.
That means that your job, they've done a great job.
Right.
And so, with that, man, like, tell us about where you at right now, because you're an accomplished young man at age 28. You playing all of these instruments. You know what I'm saying? So, and you was on Billboard.
Right.
for your project with the youth choir, the Baptist convention. And I know there's a lot more for you to do that you plan on doing or whatever, but where are you at right now? Tell us about what you're doing.
Right now, I'm working on several other projects, gospel projects for other artists. Um, just finished a live recording called Aftermath with Javante Patton.
Dope.
As you may know, I helped out with that one as I have the past few. Helping out, his name is Korey Devon, another local gospel artist, as well as Rachel Brooks. So working on these current albums with them and trying to just get some fresh new gospel music out there. They are amazing people. Everybody knows Javante in the city, so been working with him for almost a decade now.
Okay, cool.
Traveling with him throughout the country
Nice.
and playing, and had quite a few number one billboards off of that too. He
Yep.
just won himself a Stellar Award back in July. For those who don't know what a Stellar is, that's like a gospel Grammy. So I was blessed to be a part of that project. For myself, just kind of still, ironing out patches with my own production company, Just Dream. We just did a show a couple weeks ago called the R&B Chamber, where we just playing R&B music, but we're kind of just giving more of like a real intimate, up close and personal kind of feel and vibe. Yeah, they're covers, but one thing I do with literally everything is I'm always rearranging something or arranging something. That's what I do. So, it was actually our 5th show that we've done since 2022, I believe, or
Mhm.
23. So yeah, I'm doing that. We sold out very bad, actually.
Nice.
Sorry to the guy who owned the place. He got a citation from the city. There's too many people. So
It's a good citation.
Love
to get.
it.
Yeah, sorry,
I was
sorry,
gonna ask, is the intimacy level kind of like the Tiny Desk concert?
You can say tiny, yeah. It's like that, but it's more like grown and sexy, intimate, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Probably shouldn't have said that, but we're here.
I mean, it's real.
Well, yeah, because R&B music, everything that is its own language. Well, music is universal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
everybody can speak. We all can't speak the same language.
I feel that. I feel you on it.
I can't speak Cantonese. R&B is its own language.
Okay.
Just as gospel, everything else. So, we try to bring it kind of closer, because one thing about it is, we have a lot of events here in the city. Shout out to all the entrepreneurs, DJs, curators, promoters, everybody. But we kind of want to just put a different twist on it with the live element,
Sure.
um, and yeah, people do, karaoke's and live karaoke's and open mics and everything. But it's that stuff that you have on your phone when you get in the car,
Mhm.
and that playlist that you're hitting play,
Right,
that
right,
you
right.
vibing out to,
Right.
like that's the element, we try to bring to everybody. And like I said, it's our 5th show. We've done quite a few shows. We've done just Valentine's Day shows, just R&B shows. We've done shows for other people. We've done hip hop shows. It's nothing stops.
I feel that. So you're an accomplished musician. You talk about God a lot. Um, Based on the things that you went through as a young man and a teenager, and the tragedies that you've dealt with, um, and then to end up as accomplished as you are, and obviously you say you still struggle with certain things, and
Mhm.
I understand that. Um, as far as transition, how did God play a role in your life as a young man, dealing with the tragic situations that you've dealt with, and your brother being murdered and things like that?
Um, yeah, man. Like as a youngin, as a 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, first of all, born in the church, can't get out of it. It's just one of those things. Growing up, I just love going to church just so I can play the drums.
Okay.
So I ain't have a drum set at the crib. So we going to church, we going to rehearsal. I just want to play the drums. So that was just, like I said, just born in. You can't I can't get out of it.
Let me ask you, what do you see in regards to modern day culture with this generation, as far as like how would you assess it? How would you assess this generation as far as um, morals and values and God? I'm throwing a lot at you, but just like just in general, faith, um, relationships, all of this stuff.
You want my real
I
answer?
want I want your raw answer, like for real, like straight up, like where's the culture at for real, and how would you assess it?
Yeah, I feel like it is currently at a 180. And the reason I say 180, because some people say 360. 360 is you coming back around. 180, you facing the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's at a complete 180. Growing up in church then with, and I'm not even like old head, so me saying then is kind of funny. But growing up then, you had those specific values, those morals, those standards that you had to, and I'm not even gonna say live by, but abide by, especially when you're around certain people.
Okay.
It's that level of respect, faith, the way the church is working now. I'm not gonna say the church. The way that church is being perceived towards people who maybe don't even go to church or maybe falling out of church. It's kind of this thing where if I can pack it all in one sentence, I feel like they're saying prove it. Prove it. You say he's this, you say he's that, he's done that, that doesn't make sense, so prove it. But until you prove it, I'm gonna go talk to these stones over here.
Right. I feel that.
So prove it. I've been in situations growing up in my life where God told me, "You gonna make me prove it again?"
Oh wow!
I did it once.
Oh yeah.
I actually did it like 35,000 times. Little do you know.
Right.
Do I need to show you again? So, it's. And because of that, I kind of feel like the things like, okay, so let's just real quick talk about one of the most hot topics right now.
Bet.
Mr. Close them doors and give me $20.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
We seen it.
Yeah.
And the way that it's baffling to me how even faithful churchgoers are saying, it's not what he said, it's the way he said it. Well, how did he say it? You'll go to the next bar and get that bartender $800 in real life without him asking. He's asking for $20 for an organization that is not his. It's not that man's church.
I'm gonna play Charlemagne the God right now, and I know we only got a few minutes left. But here's the thing. So why wouldn't it made it better if he had just prefaced it like that? Like, hey, the organization takes it takes money to run the organization. Here's where we at. This is what we're not asking you for much, and here's what we want to do with the money, and here's what it's for the organization, because we got this great conference you're enjoying, and we need you to whoop. Did
he not say that? Or is it the people who weren't at the conference who don't know what the conference was making an assumption that he didn't?
Well, I think it's definitely the latter.
I mean, people keep saying his church. Have they ever seen his church?
But there was, and I'm not against.
Oh no, we're not.
I just want to make clear for the people.
Oh, for sure.
So they'd be like cross against, no, it ain't that. But could he have just been a little bit more kinder?
Okay. So this is, what was that video in late last year? Video's a year and a half old or so.
And that's what's crazy.
Yeah. And the reason I know because a few people I know personally actually were there.
Yeah.
So that's 2024 or so. Would we have that? Will we be saying this just like this in 2000, 1990, 1995, 2010 maybe.
No, we wouldn't be. We wouldn't be. Well, we might have to come back and talk about that because I know that's a hot topic right there. The church is catching it right now because of that.
Hot as fish grease, man.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I hope, man, it's been great with you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you opening up and talking with us, man, about some of your trauma and your tragedies and all of that. But more importantly, just how you keeping God in the midst of all of it, man, to catapult you forward.
Absolutely.
It's your man, Mr. Dean. It's been real. You listen to the Man Up Club, presents on Holy Culture Radio, man. Tap in with us. Be sure to hit us on our IG at themanupclub.mn. Follow us.